Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the nominees. Thank you all for being here. I want to start with you, Mr. Chung, Ms. Suttenberg, and Mr. Ricard. You've all been nominated, so they put you all right together, right in the middle. You've been nominated to the D.C. Superior Court. I just want to ask you a question or two about your judicial philosophy, and I want to start by referencing a picture that maybe will come up behind me. This was maybe a photo you've seen before. It's not a pleasant one, but it did occur right here in the district. This is Edward Korestein. Edward was 19 years old when this photo was taken. This is just from July of this year. He was a government employee at the time. This is in Logan Circle here in the district. He was out one evening, I think with his girlfriend, when he was attacked. He and his female friend both were attacked by a roving band of teenagers who left him in this condition, beat him pretty badly, as you can see. He was able to get his female friend into the car and safe, and then turned and confronted the whole band of them himself.
Hey folks, welcome back to America Patriots. This is Winner, where we stand for faith, freedom, and the rule of law. Today, we're diving into a Senate confirmation hearing that actually gave me some hope about the future of our justice system. Now, I know, most of the time, when we hear about government hearings, we roll our eyes and expect politics. But this one, it was different. It featured 3 people who actually believe in hard work, personal responsibility, and defending our communities from crime. Imagine that. Public servants who actually serve the public.
And this is the condition he was left in. Looks pretty violent to me, but when the assailants were taken before the D.C. Superior Court, the relevant judge, Judge Kendra Briggs, who I'm sad to say was reported favorably out of this committee, though, over my no vote, she gave the assailants 0 prison time. 0 prison time. And what she said was the purpose of sentencing is not punishment. That's a quote, not punishment. It is rehabilitation. And apparently she thinks that allowing people who do that kind of thing to 19-year-olds, allowing them to get off without any kind of punishment is rehabilitative. That is its own interesting question. But I want to ask you first, do you agree that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, but rehabilitation? I'd like to hear from each of you on this. I think it's an important question. Mr. Chung, let's start with you.
Thank you, Senator. My approach to sentencing is to consider the pre-sentencing report of the defendants, the witness victim impact statement, the community impact statement, any recommendations from the prosecutors and the...
But what's the purpose of sentencing in your words? What's your philosophy?
My approach to sentencing is to consider all the facts, apply the law, and to impose sentence that reflects the seriousness of the crimes.
Well, do you think that punishment is an appropriate aspect of sentencing?
That is one factor to consider within the context of the approach to sentencing.
Do you agree with Judge Biggs that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment but rehabilitation?
Your Honor, Senator, I don't have...
That's fine. You can say Your Honor. It's all right. I'll answer that.
I appear in court so many times that I have the reflex of referring to those in the honorific title. Well, Senator, I don't have all the information that Judge Briggs had in front of her. So and I need to be circumspect in my response because judicial canons counsel that as a judicial nominee, I should refrain from commenting issues that may appear before me.
Well, I'm not asking you to comment on this case. This case is over. You're not going to have this case. I'm asking you about you, and I'm not asking you about her. I'm asking you about you. I want to know what your judicial philosophy is. And my question is, would you agree that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, but rehabilitation? That's a pretty stark, that framing is pretty stark. Not punishment, but rehabilitation. Do you think that's right?
Well, my sentencing philosophy is to impose a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the crimes and the imposed consequences that are deserved within the context of studying the facts and applying the law to the facts.
Okay, I wish you'd be a little less circumspect. Ms. Suttenberg, go ahead.
Senator, I can't speak to that particular case given that, but I will say that I spent my career as a prosecutor fighting crime, and I'm certainly committed to accountability structures and judge both for juveniles and for adults. When it comes to sentencing, I think that there are important retribution, deterrence, incapacitation, rehabilitation. Given the severity of the crime, I think you have to look to what is going to serve the interest in any particular case. And there could be different goals that are depending on the
Let me ask you this. Shouldn't keeping the public safe be a major goal of sentencing?
Yes.
Shouldn't keeping violent offenders off of our streets be a goal of sentencing?
I absolutely agree. There should be.
Okay, good. Mr. Ricard, what about you?
Yes, Senator, thank you. I would follow the law of the District of Columbia, which requires considering a number of factors, including the seriousness of the offense, imposing a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the offense and the criminal history of the offender, a sentence that provides sufficient deterrence, both specific deterrence to the individual offender and general deterrence to the community, and that the third factor does consider rehabilitation, but that's just one of the three factors that has to be considered.
And last question, Mr. Chairman. And do you agree that protecting the public and getting violent offenders off the streets is an important goal of sentencing?
Yes, I think that's the deterrence that I just mentioned. Specific deterrence is making sure that someone who's committed a violent crime and is likely to do so again would not do so.
Well, I'll have some more questions for those of the rest of you on the panel. I'm sure you're very disappointed I didn't get to ask you any. Congratulations again on your nomination.
Thank you. We've had some discussion, about the necessity for independence of.
First up, let's talk about Mr. Bluestone, a federal prosecutor from the Eastern District of Missouri. This man has been on the front lines of America's violent crime epidemic. He's out there dealing with the tough stuff: carjackings, armed robberies, gun crimes, drug trafficking. The kind of cases that most people only read about in headlines. And you could hear it in his voice. This isn't a guy doing it for the fame. He's doing it because he loves his community, and he wants to make it safe again. He said it best, that every single case, whether it's a small one or a big one, matters deeply to the victims, the defendants, the families, and to law enforcement. That's the kind of humility and responsibility we need in our justice system. Sometimes folks forget that law and order isn't just a slogan, it's what protects our freedom. Without safety, there is no liberty. And men like Mr. Bluestone remind us that real justice isn't about politics, it's about standing up for what's right. Next, we've got Mr. Andrew Devine, Missouri's Solicitor General. Now, this guy is sharp. He's the one representing the state of Missouri in courts all across the country. Trial courts, appellate courts, even the United States Supreme Court. And here's what stood out to me: he's not just managing legal paperwork. He's out there taking on some of the biggest constitutional fights in America. Remember the whole student loan cancellation controversy? Well, Devine and his team stood up to the federal government when they tried to wipe out hundreds of billions of dollars in loans, without any real legal authority to do it. Now, listen, we all want to help people who are struggling, but we have to do it the right way. You can't just wave a pen and spend $700 billion of taxpayer money because it's politically popular. There's a process, and there's a constitution. Devine and his team didn't just talk about the law, they used it, they defended it, and they won. They saved taxpayers from losing hundreds of billions of dollars and reminded Washington that the states still matter. That's leadership. That's courage. That's what being a patriot in the courtroom looks like. And then we heard from Ms. Lanahan, the Principal Deputy Solicitor General. She's handled dozens of cases, and she oversees about a quarter of the appeals that go through Missouri's Attorney General's office. That's serious responsibility, and she carries it with quiet professionalism. No drama, no headlines, just dedication. She talked about how appeals aren't just about re-arguing the same facts, but about understanding the deeper principles, what the law actually means and how it applies. That's the kind of steady hand we need in leadership, people who know the difference between politics and principle. Watching this hearing reminded me that there are still Americans out there who believe in something bigger than themselves. These three, Bluestone, Devine, and Lanahan, aren't celebrities. They're not in it for clicks or clout. They're out there doing the hard, unglamorous work of keeping our country safe and our Constitution alive. And you know what? It shows that the system can work when you fill it with good people, people of faith, integrity, and courage. We hear a lot these days about division and dysfunction, but when you see men and women like these step up to serve, it's a reminder that America still produces patriots, quiet heroes who do their duty day in and day out. United States, Section 5, the bigger picture. This hearing wasn't just about confirming a few lawyers. It was about reaffirming the values that built this country. Hard work, faith in the rule of law, accountability, service before self. You know, America doesn't stay free by accident. It takes citizens, soldiers, teachers, prosecutors, people like you and me, standing up and doing our part. So when I see these nominees stepping forward, I don't just see government employees. I see the next generation of leaders who can bring respect back to our courts, fairness back to our justice system, and honor back to public service. Folks, let's not give up on our institutions. Let's rebuild them, one good person at a time. We need to pray for our country, support the men and women who put on the badge, who walk into courtrooms, who fight the good fight to keep America strong and free. If you believe in law and order, if you believe in the Constitution, and if you still believe that this nation is the greatest experiment in freedom the world has ever known, then hit that like button, subscribe, and share this message. Because freedom needs defenders, not just in uniform, but in every corner of this nation. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. United States.